Hello guys, welcome to my channel where I'll be posting about true crimes that have occurred throughout history. In today's case, we'll be taking us to Guyana, country which is located in South America where one of the most shocking massacres has taken place. This story contains many heavy topics, so if you feel like it's too much for you, then just click off, watch some movies, and have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Before we get started, I would like to apologize in advance to any mispronunciations. And also, trigger warning. It is gonna get dark. The People's Temple cult had a leader who went by the name of Jim Warren Jones. Jim Jones was born on May 13, 1931 to Lynetta Putnam and Jim Jones in Crete, Indiana. Jones' father was a disabled war veteran who often went away to work on road crews, leaving Lynetta isolated and lonely in Crete. This caused a strain in their marriage, and the addition of a child to the family only increased the stress that the Jones were facing. This issue would cause Jones' father to have a nervous breakdown, which would make him unable to work any longer. Because they had no source of income at the time, it would lead them to being evicted from the family farm, forcing them to move in with their relatives who lived in Lyon, a town located in Indiana. From a young age, Jones was denied basic human needs like food, clothing, and affection. Sometimes his family were so desperate for food that they would send him out to nearby fields and woods to forage for whatever food he could find. When Jones turned 14, his mother finally divorced his abusive alcoholic father, leading him to seek refuge in his town's local church, where he would receive food and cast off colds. Jones' first exposure to religion was by the Church of the Nazarene. It was stated by the locals that Jones was so intrigued by the preacher's words and action that he would start holding mock church services in the street, many of which were funeral services for dead animals. Some questioned where he kept finding so many dead animals, which led them to believe that he had killed some himself. It was around this time that Jones would start to show some really odd behaviors. He would claim that he had special powers and that he was being held down by the angel of death. During recess, he would insist on playing the Nazis, particularly their leader, Adolf Hitler, with whom he was completely obsessed with. He would recruit smaller children to act as his troupe and even go as far as hitting them whenever they didn't meet his standard. When Jones reached high school, he took a job at a local hospital where he met his future wife, Marceline Baldwin, who was a nurse working there at the time. The two would go on to get married in June 1949, and although they had an unstable marriage, Marceline stayed with Jones till the end. After graduating from Butler University, he decided to pursue his dream of becoming a preacher by accepting a position as a student pastor at Somerset Methodist Church. However, he wouldn't stay there for long, as he would have a fallout with one of the church's oldest priests. This would lead to Jones opening his first church in the mid-1950s in Indianapolis, which was called Wings of Healing, where he would start performing phony faith healings by using chicken gizzards to make it appear as if he was removing tumor from sick people, or he would just plant Confederates in the audience. He would even hire investigators to collect information on people who attended his service, which he would later reveal to them, claiming he got their info through his telepathic skills. These tricks were mainly done to attract African Americans whom he most wanted to help. In 1961, Jones declared that he saw a vision where Chicago would be destroyed in a nuclear holocaust and that daily radiation would reach Indianapolis, convincing his members that their current location is not safe and that they would need to move to rural northern California, near the small town of Ukiah, which was a place he believed would survive the nuclear annihilation. Unsurprisingly, his prophecy didn't pan out, but that didn't seem to bother the members or Jones. Said he would move the community again in 1971 to San Francisco. Jones would preach that his followers should form communes and donate all of their savings to the church, which was now known as the People's Temple. As Jones grew more powerful, he would start using amphetamines for energy and barbiturates to help him sleep. He also started to refer to himself as the Messiah of his people, telling them to refer to him as father or dad. Jones was known for preaching about sexual freedom and communal living, although he always preferred to live in an apartment in the city. Jones professed that all men are latent homosexuals, except him, and that it was his calling to reveal to them what they truly desired. As Jones grew in popularity, he would start to get involved in political matters, forming connection with the likes of George Moscone, Willie Brown, and Harvey Milk. His influence on the people didn't go unnoticed, making Moscone seek out his support to win the election. When he did, he rewarded Jones with the chair of San Francisco's Housing Authority, which he used to shed light on matters like social justice, civil rights, and many other issues at the time. But little did he know that this exposure would cause him nothing but trouble. In 1977, the People's Temple would get their first negative media coverage when a journalist who went by the name of Marshall Kilduff would publish an article exposing the cult for what it really was. Stories of misdoings at the People's Temple, like physical beatings, forced humiliation, withholding of food, and blackmailing members to keep them in line. Things only got worse when 8 former members of the cult spoke out about financial abuse, tax evasion, and how Jones convinced members that he was Christ himself by bringing 43 people back from the dead. Jones became furious by the betrayal of his former members, making him constantly paranoid and feeling the need to constantly test the loyalty of his followers by conducting a meeting called the White Nights. During these evening meetings, which every member must attend, Jones would create scenarios for his people, where they were forced to choose among 4 options, which were 1. To flee to the Soviet Union, 2. To stand and fight, 3. To escape into the jungle, or 4. To exit themselves. And although a lot of people didn't choose the last option, he would still force a lot of people, including children, to drink a fruit-flavored beverage that he claimed would bring them a peaceful end. The media would force Jones and his members, which consisted of 3,000 people at the time, to move to Guyana to avoid any publicity, convincing his people that the media was their enemy and an agent of the devil. During September of that year, a woman who had a child with Jones would sue him for custody of her child, who was residing at the People's Temple. Jones refused to give up the child, stating that any attempt to take the child would put the safety of his people at risk. Concerned relatives of the members would expose the cult of the inhuman ways that people were treated to the media, which put pressure on the congressman to launch an official investigation on Jonestown, which was now located in the rural parts of Guyana, away from society. Leo Ryan, a congressman representing the San Mateo district of Northern California, would take up the case. On November 17, 1978, the congressman, along with the reporters and relatives of the members, would arrive in Jonestown to investigate and see what was taking place in this small town. First glance, everything seemed normal. People looked genuinely happy to be there, but little did the congressman know that it was all an act. Jones had been training his people to act and what to say to the media for days, threatening them, stating that if any of them show any sign of dissatisfaction, that there will be consequences. This will later be revealed to Ryan when a member of the cult slipped a message to one of the reporters who arrived with him, telling them they wanted to leave. Ryan would go on to confront Jones about this, but Jones would declare that anyone was free to go or come as they pleased. This prompted the congressman to make a public statement, stating that anyone who wanted to leave is free to join him. By the end of this visit, Ryan had 14 members joining him during his departure. Ryan and his party would hastily return to the airstrip after he was attacked with a knife by one of the members, but sadly they wouldn't make it, as they would be attacked by an armed convoy, leading to the death of Ryan and 4 former members of the cult. Back at the temple, Jones would inform his people that the congressman was dead and that the end times had come. He started distributing syringes and cups of powdered beverage called Flavor Aid, which consisted of heavy doses of cyanide and barbiturates. He told his members to dose the children first and then themselves, and anyone who questioned him was threatened to be shot by one of his guards. On a 44-minute tape that was released, Jones is heard yelling at his people to die with dignity. As for himself, he never touched the Flavor Aid. Instead, he was found with a bullet wound to his head. 918 people, including Jones, died that day, 276 of which were children. The impact that Jim Warren Jones had on people was unimaginable, and the fact that he was able to abruptly end so many people's lives is truly tragic. That was all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and if there is anything I've missed which you think is important, then leave it down in the comments and I'll make sure to check it out.